it now. It's my first time. I would have loved it, but then
What book?
And then there are none.
Oh, so good.
I gave up after 3 chapters. Once there was like 7 of them, I'm like,
The stakes in it were not as cool.
spoils
Okay,
it. Who hasn't been? No.
Catherine, remind me to show you how to get onto our, like, sign up for the AP test and stuff. Okay. Don't let me forget about that because you have to do it today. Okay, sweet. Here's my question. Are you guys ready?
yeah.
And we can't take forever on this because I actually do have things that we need to get done today. Sadly, I know. Did Adam and Eve have belly buttons?
Why wouldn't they?
I was talking about this at the dinner table last night.
No way!
I'm not even kidding.
Are you serious? Josh, we are on the same wavelength, man. That's ridiculous. I had Mr. Ellis be a guest speaker in my other class because he brought us through the, like, philosophical implications and the biology of it. But I'm so surprised that you were just talking about this. That's ridiculous. Do you guys think yes or no? We're gonna take a poll so that we can have the record show which one. Did Adam and Eve have a belly button? Because they weren't technically born. So it's like, but also could they have something that the Lord doesn't have if we're made in his image? But we all look different. But we all have belly buttons. Yes. He did. All right, Tyler, yes or no? Did Adam and Eve have a belly button? No? Okay. Steve.
Okay.
Do you prefer Steve or Steven?
I know.
Okay.
So what I do care about is
What did you care about?
that if we're asking if Adam and Eve had belly buttons, then like did Adam have nipples? Because nipples were obviously because when the egg, they all start out as female and then it converts to male. Yeah. So.
Oh my word.
I can't. What? Bro, Adam was weird.
Wait. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna go with yes.
I was also talking with my mom saying that it would have been the coolest thing ever if all men always had one less rib because Adam had one less rib. I thought that would have been cool. I don't know the answer to that, Steve. I don't know. That's why the things we talk about. Okay, so which side are you on then?
Well, I would like to imagine that they were belly buttonless and Adam did not have nipples.
Okay. So no. Josh, where did you guys land at the dinner table?
I mean, we had no views. I say
Okay.
in my personal view, like you have a belly button because of the umbilical.
Right.
So that is no.
So no.
Yeah. I mean, they probably were a little bit concerned with having a belly button.
Right. Because then everyone else had them.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
So their kids, I mean, you're born in the umbilical cord, the doctor cut it, right?
Right.
So what if Adam and Eve didn't know to do that? We just
What do you got a giant belly button? Giant,
No, because it dries up and falls off. Yeah. You're like herniated, right? Your intestines can go through your belly button.
When my brother was adopted, it was like a softball.
Yeah. Oh, ow. It's like your intestines like herniate through it. Wow, the things we talk about in this class. Poor Graham and Catherine are like, what did I get myself into? Like, this is the weirdest. Welcome. Okay. Cherry. Oh, this didn't. Wow, everyone's at didn't. Crazy. Maddie, what do you think?
What did Mr. Ellis say?
Okay, Mr. Ellis, I was a little mad about this, started winning circles over and over and over. He started strong and then he kept going in circles.
That's just talking to Mr. Ellis.
Yes. And I was like, dude, I asked you a yes or no question. So Mr. Ellis said that technically they wouldn't have had a purpose for having a belly button, but then we're made in God's image. And even though we all look different, we all have belly buttons. So does God have a belly button? Is that part of his image? So like, what? What? I didn't hear. So he like kept going in circles and then laughed and then left. So what if?
Because they didn't have belly buttons because they actually they weren't conceived, right? Like they were God's creation. So
Yeah.
he put them on earth with a belly button, even though the implication
He-
that comes from it
yes.
is that they were conceived, but they weren't conceived because God created them.
Correct. So he could have technically still given them a belly button, even though,
Oh, true. But
you
then
know-
they show- but then they like, what if people like, what if then it was like, well, with the implication of having a belly button was that you were
born.
born, and
So-
they weren't. So when he like,
But then there are hundreds of children they had belly. I know.
But
Yeah.
if we have the same amount of ribs now, and Adam's supposed to have one less, then why would it be cheaper to say like we have both of them and you didn't?
It's exactly. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Maddie, what side are you going for?
Probably no, but maybe they had a little dent.
A little dent, just a little like, this is where it would go. That's scary.
First thing I'm asking when I get it home.
Right?
Like, I'll be like, yo, where's Adam?
Adam, come on, man. Do you have a belly button? I asked that, and then some kid goes, is Adam in heaven? And I'm like, I think so. Don't you think so? Like, I would hope that he is. I'm pretty positive he is, but all right, Jacqueline, which side are you swinging for? No belly button. Wow, this is fascinating. Thorin, they did? Way to go. Stay strong. Chessie, going no. Sheldon, way to go. Catherine, no. Olivia,
I think yes.
I love this. It's so fascinating, isn't it? Seeing where people land. And the thing is, you're not wrong either way. Brayden,
All right, so Jesus had a belly button, right? And he's like, he's God.
but he was conceived.
But he's also God. But we were
Correct.
created in the likeness of God.
Right.
but why
Did
does
God have a
likeness
belly
of
button
God have
too,
to
so
be
that-
the physical stuff?
I would say yes, they had a belly button.
Because the Holy Spirit is technically God too, and we're not like,
That's spirit.
right.
I don't know, I'd like to think that they did.
Okay. Okay. That's right. You get a belly button. Graham, what do you think? Absolutely not. Staying strong. I love it. Well, the nays win. It's been interesting. I feel like classes have swung either way. Well, we all have to ask because I want to know. For a really long time, I was like, obviously not. Obviously, they didn't have a belly button, but I don't think it's not possible for them to have it. Yeah, but I feel like they didn't. Just like a gut feeling, like a belly button feeling, but you know, like
Wait, you know you get a feeling in your belly button? They didn't have that, so that's why they ate the fruit.
that's why their conscious is in their belly button. That's
Wait, but then like genetically, like how would it pass down? like to their children because
It's
like
not a genetic thing because it's from the umbilical cord and the placenta.
But if they did have belly buttons.
so then how did their children
Because Eve had a womb, so she had a placenta and all that good stuff. Technically, their children could still have it. It's not like, yeah, DNA.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, it's not like a DNA thing.
Okay.
Riley, Adam and Eve, did they have a belly button? Yes or no?
No,
Right?
no.
That's what we kind of think too, but
That's
also
weird.
like they could. So
But why would they wouldn't need one?
they wouldn't need one, but they'd be different from all the rest of human race.
That is
So
true.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
I know, right? That's all I got. Thank you for that. I
No problem.
appreciate
Did
it.
you get the PDF that I sent?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I got it. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Adam definitely has.
Oh, no, Audis are gross.
That is just how it's scarred over, right? The umbilical cord like scarred over. Get them away. It's nasty. Have you guys ever seen oh gosh, what is it called? Rhett and Link. The belly button song that they belly button, my belly button. It's really something. No?
I knew the other one, what you call it, it's like, ooh, belly button, oh, so fun.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
That's a good one. That one just makes us go for it. Too funny. Alrighty, will you go ahead and open up your surfaces? Grow.
Oh, I don't got a belly button.
Yeah. There's lots of belly button songs.
I've changed my mind. They do have a belly button. If Larry didn't have a belly button, Adam and Eve didn't.
If Larry didn't, they don't. Dear Mr. Pope, yeah.
Francis would just say that he wants to put
You just roll with it. Okay, I have a lovely thing I want to show you guys. It's a book.
There's a book called The Adam and Eve Have Belly Buttons and 199 Other Questions from Catholic Teenagers. There's more than 130,000 copies sold.
Wow. I think we need to read that. What's up? Yes, we can play it while we're doing our writing. We can for sure play it.
Artists, you know how like artists would like paint Adam and Eve?
Yeah.
They dodge the question by extending fig leaves.
No way. This is like a real thing people thought of then. I never thought of the whole artist thing. That's right. Okay, I want to blow your minds for a second, and besides the belly buttons. So we're writing our research papers. On Monday, you have to have a thesis statement solidified in 8 sources, even though you only have to use 6 in your paper. The reason is then you can solidify it down a little bit more. We are like, Catherine and Graham, I had warned them, we're like breezing through this, okay? Like the papers due before you leave for Thanksgiving break. And we're like going. So just be prepared, but I'm always giving you class time to work. Yeah.
So it's due Monday for on campus?
Yes, it's due during off campus. Yep. The thesis, because you need the thesis for something we're gonna do for off campus. I'll show you what we're gonna do so that you have that. Okay. your thesis statement is going to look different from anything you've written before.
There's so many things.
Yeah, there's so many paragraphs, there's so many things. So, I want to kind of give you a framework for that so that you know what I'm expecting for a thesis statement. We are writing like we're in college, okay? So we're staying away from 5-paragraph essay type things. We're staying away from the 3-pronged thesis statements. I am okay with 3-pronged thesis statements in timed writings, okay? You have to showcase the fact that you know what you're talking about the second you start and hit go for timed writings. But for longer papers, I do not want to see a 3-pronged thesis statement. Okay, we're moving from something called 3-prong to 3-story thesis statements, which look totally different, and I'm going to showcase those. Cool? I found this super cool book called Writing in College, and I pretty much took like sections of the book and made it into a PowerPoint so that it was easier to follow. And if you ever want to go back through this PowerPoint, you can just read through it. So it's helpful. Okay, can you pull up your questions? Have your question out in front of you that you want to do for your thesis, for your research paper. Catherine, you can start brainstorming a couple things. It's open-ended. You get to choose whatever topic you want. And I'll show you what they did yesterday to kind of help with that. And then you can do that today. Okay. You, as a synthesis writer, are a policy maker. For rhetorical analysis, you're a teacher, okay? You are teaching people through your writing how an argument is created. For synthesis, though, you're a policymaker, so different hats, okay? For argument writing, you're a columnist. You're arguing for something in a creative way. So columnist / journalist, policymaker versus teacher. So hopefully that kind of helps you see the different hats that you'll have to wear. But essentially, someone has come to you with this question or a problem that they need answered. And you have to do the research and take a stance on it to help them solve the problem, okay? So let's say our topic is global warming. And they specifically want to talk about global warming with polar bear conservation. How we could do, like, how effective have zoos been in the efforts for polar bear conservation? That could be our question. So it's something that's a little bit, can't be answered yes or no. Okay, there can be 2 polar sides, but it can't be answered yes or no. Look at your question right now. Is the question easily answered yes or no, or easily, like, you could circle the answer in your question? If so, it's too simple. It's not nuanced enough. So you need to be able to, like, not simply answer it. Does that make sense? Are we tracking?
So are we looking for like a yes or no or a why?
To what effect? How does? Why? Okay, so those are some easy ways to revise it. If it's like, is abortion wrong? You could do, like, someone could tell you no or yes, right? But if you say, what psychological effect does abortion have on the mothers, right? That is still in that topic, but not answered yes or no. Yeah, Jacqueline.
Then how do you do a counterargument?
The counterargument is in the side that you take. So if you're presenting your argument that, like, zoos have been effective in these specific areas of polar bear conservation, but in this way, it hasn't been. So therefore, in order to be the most effective, they need to get better at this area, but continue what they're good at. Is that helpful?
So the counter argument isn't too long.
It is not too long. Yep.
Like all you're doing is just using it to, like, either just like strengthen your
Yep, exactly. You're using it to strengthen your own thought. Yeah, Thorin.
Are we supposed to pick a side, or can we also just present the evidence and say this is what both sides say?
You have to pick a side. Yep.
What if you couldn't answer in the yes or no statement, but like it needs an explanation?
Is there a way that you can word it so it doesn't look like that? Yeah. Why don't, when we start going, you can come, we can try and work on it. Okay, and then the other thing I want you to be thinking about is what is the policy you're trying to create? Like, what are you trying to argue in here? So with that, you have to pick a side for it. So you have to say, what am I going to say in this question? That is going to lead into our thesis statement. So you knowing which side is going to snowball effect into what your thesis statement will be kind of centered around. Can I get a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs middle? How are we feeling? Okay. Let's keep going and then hopefully that'll help. This will help. All right. For thesis statements, I'm going to give you a bunch of examples and show you even what a normal like 3-pronged thesis statement, 5-paragraph essay would look like versus what I'm looking for instead. This is not a 5-paragraph essay, okay? I do not, if it ends up being 5 paragraphs, whatever, but I don't want you to frame it like a 5-paragraph essay. That is something that's super formulaic and that you've pretty much been taught, right? The argument paragraph, very formulaic, right? You need this here, this here, this here, then this here, right? I am not holding you to that as long as you have all those elements in there still. So you are good enough writers where you get to start working on your own voice and style, and get to kind of bounce around with that framework. So if you're super overwhelmed, use the framework, okay? Go back to it and then edit later. But if you feel confident, go into it with those same concepts needing it, but then being able to play around with it. So what I need you to kind of drill into your heads with a thesis statement is it does not have to have a list of 3 things at the end, and it doesn't have to be at the end of the introduction even, okay? The point of a thesis statement is to inform the audience of the stance that you're taking, okay? And of what the topic is, kind of intrigue them, actually hook them into what it is. So it's non-obvious, meaning it's not like very like chunky at the end, you underline it, it's right there. You could technically still underline your thesis, but it might be multiple sentences. It's arguable. So look at this example. Sustainability is important. That's a very formulaic, like, okay, we see your stance. But if you change that to an arguable thesis, like sustainability policies will inevitably fail if they do not incorporate social justice. That's getting into a whole thing like, ooh, that's interesting. How so? Right? You want your thesis to hook your reader into like wanting to see why you said that. Do you see the difference though? Sustainability is important. It takes a stance, but it's like, Matt, okay, like, I guess it is. Whereas pulling in social justice and it's going to fail actually tells us of your thoughts of why it's important. Okay? Okay.
Mr. Strzalka,
What's up?
can't start.
You can't what?
Like it just comes up as the Olivia, can you see it? I couldn't see the PowerPoint
Yet.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. You didn't miss any slides besides this, so. It has to be well specified, so non-obvious, arguable, specified. Don't just say it's effective or fair, what makes it so? Fail if it doesn't incorporate social justice. So kind of have that why, have it nuanced within it. And then includes implications An implication is a conclusion that can be drawn from something, although it's not explicitly stated. So it has some sort of opinion in it, some sort of thought process, some sort of argument, which goes back to the fact that it's arguable. I think it'll help once you see an example. Okay. Linen served as a form of currency in the ancient Mediterranean world, connecting rival empires through circuits of trade. That's a solid sentence, right? If you wrote that in a time writing, I'd be pretty happy with that, okay? It gives some sort of like, linen is a form of currency, connecting the empires in trade. B, though, linen served as a form of currency in the ancient Mediterranean world. We have context, connecting rival empires through circuits of trade. Okay, so we have that kind of background, what's happening. The economic role of linen raises important questions about how shifting environmental conditions can influence economic relationships and, by extension, political conflicts. Woo! Okay, no idea what that means, to be honest. No idea. But do you see the difference in the way the language is formed? It doesn't matter if we know anything about linen, right? Literally doesn't matter. But the fact that, okay, this is only the background to it, right? This is only telling us the background. And here, this is the first step. Then they push it to economic role and political conflicts, put it into a bigger, broader context, okay? So giving that context, saying how did it influence it in a broader context? Let's, I think this will also help. This is a 5-paragraph essay. This is what you're used to, okay? There are different kinds of medical treatment. Your thesis could be preventing medicine saves money, reduces suffering, and saves lives. There's our lovely 3-pronged thesis, right? Then you have your reasons. Each paragraph is one of those reasons in your thesis statement, and your conclusion is, therefore, I've shown that preventative medicine is important and medical advances will continue to be made. Okay, go back to your broad context. We have the intro being broad to a narrow thesis, talk about only those 3 points, and then go back out. What I want us to move toward is this. It's going to take a little bit, okay, but I want us to move towards something more, less formulaic than that. So setting up, what does the reader need to know? Our introductions are going to have background information. Instead of, those big, broad statements like, at the beginning of the dawn of the time, dinosaurs reigned over blah, 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 throughout all history, every man needed shoes. Okay, it's super boring. Or my favorites, obviously, are when people use Webster's dictionary defines this, right? Or rhetorical questions like, haven't you ever needed a pair of shoes? Oh gosh, guys, the cheese, it's so good. Never done that ever, right? So the thesis, instead of being preventative medicine saves money, reduces suffering, and saves lives, it's now lack of preventative medicine shows we need a whole new concept of health and wellness. So it doesn't specifically say the money, the blah, blah, the blah. It's taking a stance on something and making a statement about it. So the lack of preventative medicine shows we need a whole new concept of health and wellness. It's taking a stance, right? We need a new concept of health and wellness. Your readers are then thinking, okay, how are we going to do that? And then that's what you argue in the rest of your paper. Sound good? Okay. Then your paper could go, here's what I mean by conventional medicine. Here's why conventional medicine isn't set up for prevention. Here's what would have to happen to really do preventive medicine right. We think broadly, bringing your thesis back, and then we might see the shift happening. It needs to continue, blah, blah, blah.
So the conclusion's kind of the same.
Yeah, conclusion. We'll talk specifically about conclusions next week, but Do you see the differences? Do you guys have questions about this right now?
Is this under topics?
I will stick it there right after. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Ooh. Okay. Are you okay if I keep going? All right. Here's where we get into how we actually write our 3-story thesis, okay? Your first story, so your first level essentially, is to state inarguable facts. This is what's happening. The linen industry is connected to the other countries, okay? Give your readers the background to why it's an argument, right? What's happening. Second layer is to bring in an argument. So what's happening in the situation, the background, then why is this an argument? You can interpret or have some sort of point. And then the third story is where, like, that's like when we push rhetorical analysis into the audience, into the concept of how it connects, okay? It's putting it into a larger, complicated implication, okay? So what does that then imply that we need to do? So I liked this paragraph. So building the first story, you have to get familiar with complex, relevant facts surrounding the problem or question. What's surrounding this problem? You have to describe the situation thoroughly and accurately. Then with that first story built, you're getting everyone on the same page. You can layer on the second story by formulating the insightful, arguable points that animates the analysis. And then that'll take time because you have to know what the actual argument is. And then with that specified, you can frame up the third story by articulating why the point you make matters beyond the topic or the case. So why is it important in that broader context? Let's look at some examples. We'll come back to that. Or there's one right here. First story, online learning is becoming more prevalent and takes many different forms. While most observers see it as a transformation of higher education, online learning is better thought of as an extension of higher education in that it reaches learners who aren't disposed to participate in traditional campus-based education. Okay, so first story, online learning is becoming more prevalent. Second story, it's an extension because it reaches more people. Third story, online learning appears to be a promising way to better integrate higher education with other institutions in society. As online learners integrate their educational experience with the other realms in their life, promoting the freer flow of ideas between academy and the rest of society. So because we are allowed to get these people who can't have traditional on-campus stuff, hey, can I help you? Go for it. Because we're not able to do that, that means that we have more ideas that are being brought to us. What do you need? Yep, this one?
Yep.
Does she need this also?
I'm not just gonna bring it probably,
Okay.
yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
For sure. Do you see the progression? Here's a fact. Here's what's kind of being told, and it's used as an extension, and therefore we're able to have more ideas and more people in different spots. So it brings more value to the education. Is everyone dead right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing it. I got dead eyes.
Like, I kind of understand that, but like.
Okay. I think once you do it with your topic, it'll come naturally. Like I really, really do. Yeah. Okay. Do you guys want to see a couple other examples? I also want to tell you this will not happen on your first try, and that's okay. Okay, let it happen on your third or fourth. Rewrite it, keep going. That's totally fine. Okay, and what's nice about this is most of your introduction already written. You only need a couple sentences else, which is kind of cool. Okay, first story. Edith Wharton did not consider herself a modernist writer, and she didn't write like her modernist contemporaries. Okay, telling us what's happening. Second story. However, in her work, we can see her grappling with both the question and literary forms that fascinated modernist writers of her era. While not an avowed modernist, she did engage with modernist themes and questions. Here's our argument, right? She didn't write like other modernists, but she engaged with it and it influenced her.
I got it wrong.
You're totally fine. Which one?
She said it's like behind her desk or something.
This one?
Yeah, that one probably. Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry.
Totally fine. Third story. Thus, it is more revealing to think of modernism as a conversation rather than a category or practice. That would be like our big thesis of our thesis, right? You're contextualizing, you're showing us about the argument between it, and therefore modernism shouldn't be a category, it should be a conversation. Did that one help a little bit more? Okay. What I want you guys to do is a couple things. I think I'm gonna wait on the talking about an introduction until a little bit later. I want you guys to where did it go? Oh, here. Okay, I want to show you really fast what I expect you to have done for Monday. And I think that'll help a little bit when I let you guys go. Okay, you're gonna write your name, your question that you're answering, and then I want you to try to do a three-story thesis statement, okay? So this is gonna take you kind of diving into some sources to seeing what the argument is and then coming up with what you want to say. If it helps you, write a three-pronged first and then change it into a three-story, okay?
And how do we write the 3 layers in our thesis without it becoming like a 3-topic plan?
So the first layer is going to be, instead of saying like specific money and economics and political, right? You're instead doing layer 1 is going to be your context. Layer 2 is what is the argument even, and layer 3 is what does that mean? Based on that argument, what should we think?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yep, layer 1 is our context. I'll stick it right here. Layer 2 is what is the argument here, and layer 3 is what did I say? What does this mean? Thank you. What should we think? What does this mean / what should we think? Okay. So this is kind of like that broader implication. Argument, take a stance. Does that help simplify it a little bit? Okay. And then for Monday, I would love for you please to have 8 sources. Okay. Do you guys know how to use Google Scholar? Okay, I'm on the assumption you do. If you don't, I will show you. I want to make it clear there's different types of sources, right? I really want us to lean towards peer-reviewed scholarly articles, and then as like the majority of our sources, and then we can go to like credible websites, credible other places, books, even stuff like that. Last, I want to like, don't use blogs, don't use Wikipedia, don't use just like the first Google search you make, okay? It needs to be more credible than that. if it has an abstract, which is like a summary, it'll literally say abstract, and it has a summary of what it is. That's gonna say it's more of a scholarly article and it's good to go. It'll also tell you what it is before you even, so you don't have to read the whole thing, which is nice. Did you have a question? I would say, yeah, like, if it's like facts and statistics, I think that's fine. Definitely. I think that's a very credible, it can be very credible, for sure. You have to be careful because they also, like, newspapers also have like columnists and stuff like that. But if it's like a report of something in an article, it's usually pretty good. So
Should it be like a research paper?
You can use other research papers for it, but a scholarly paper, yes, it usually will use stuff like other things like that, but it can be articles. It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Yeah, Jacqueline. Okay. What's hard about that is I think it depends on when you're talking about. Like, history doesn't really change necessarily that much. But some studies get outdated. I would say stick within the last 5 years if you can, 5 to 10 years if you can. That'll kind of make it way more credible for that. Yeah.
What if a source is like in a document by PDF?
Yes, you can use that. You have to, gosh, how do you cite that?
You can do
I'll have to figure out how you cite that. Yeah, but you can use that for sure. Any other questions you guys have? Yeah, Thorin.
When it says that next week we'll have the specific quotes we want to use, does that mean we need to have all the quotes we want to use, or just like some?
All of them. Yep, all of them. Yes, that's fine.
That's not talking about information, right? That's just talking about direct quotes of the source.
Correct. Okay, other thing I want to show you. Okay, so Monday you're coming with that filled out. So you have your sources, 8 of them, so that you can narrow them down to 2. One of them has a counter argument, or narrow them down to 6, sorry. One of them is a counter argument.
So you're saying if it's 6 sources, 5 of them are in your favor and then 1 would be a counter?
Correct.
So you do use the source in the counter?
I would. Yeah, I would. What else did I want to show you? Oh, for off campus. Are your brains full to capacity right now? Or, yeah. Okay, do you want to work a little bit and then I will show you what to do for on campus later? Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna let you guys go for it then. What I would do is come up with sources right now and then go for the thesis statement, try for it in 30 minutes. I'll have Sheldon and Jacqueline and Maddie come do their podcast pitch. Does that sound good? Okay. Have a little break for that. All right, Thorn.
We're not collecting quotes over the weekend, right? That's something we're doing next week.
You are doing that, I think, for off campus, if I'm, yeah, for off campus. You're doing that. Yep.
Right.
And then the thesis is due.
We're gonna do peer review of thesis on Monday, so What's up?
So I was thinking of, sorry. So I would like to think about your ideas and like
Yeah.
I think we went Belly button.
wild horse roundups. So
Oh.
one of my biggest questions when I was like thinking through research and stuff, because one of the things is the BLM says that they don't, which is like a total lie. And
Yeah.
everyone knows it. But like something that I thought about last night that I'm not too tired to help you with. How does the wild horse challenge the symbolic freedom?
Oh, that's fascinating.
Is that like actually interesting? Are you being honest with me?
No, is this actually? Oh, I love it. Okay. So I think where you would have to make sure you get your
Yeah, it's going
on the same page is like that the wild horse is a symbol of
Yeah,
America's
okay.
freedom. So it's almost like the last wild animal from the West too,
Yeah,
like
and,
buffaloes.
I think, I was like researching last night. It's like the first like symbolize like freedom and the last of the wild frontier,
Yes.
all the way up through Manifest Destiny, heading
Yeah.
westward, or like all through like Reconstruction and all of that. And like,
Right.
then you see the cowboys, the 49ers, and like that's another symbol of like this prosperity and this new way of life. And I thought that if you're rounding them up and getting rid of them, doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of who they are and like what that stands for as America?
That's interesting. So your policy almost is the preservation of.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's think of wording this question. How to what effect does I'm literally just blabbing, so give me a second. To what effect does the roundup of the wild horse
We have several, that's why we're better. See.
okay, I'm thinking about
No one wants like a.
in the West challenge the symbolic freedom of America.
In the West is like bad phrasing.
I totally know what
I
you're
think it's
saying.
important to say Western frontier because that's where it was.
Yeah. Challenge the symbolic freedom of America.
Or like, I like freedom, liberty,
Yeah.
like the ideals. This was country was founded on the basis of having freedom, and I like when we think about it, like the horse was something that as soon as you got freedom, that was what they saw. So then it's just like wild.
Right. Oh, totally. I'm almost thinking about how that, to what effect is modern American culture influential in the harming of wild horses or something? You know, do you see where I'm going? Like, how does that concept reflect, like, today's society idea of like go go go, expand, keep going? How has that like harmed the environment and like the sanctuary of the horses too? The thing I'm having a challenge with is the symbolic freedom, like the symbolism of them. I totally get what you're trying to say.
It's like a hard thing to prove, and you can't.
Yeah.
It's like the way I thought about it. It's hard to go both like environmental effect and the environmental effects are also hard to prove because every mainstream source you'll use, like Bureau of Land Management, will say that they're doing it in a humane way that promotes like the care, which isn't true.
Right.
So like that actually is the problem with I don't know how to prove that statement if what they say is true.
Right. So what about the ethical standpoint of it? Could you go into that and then use this
freedom
as a point for that? So to what effect, or just like, is the roundup of wild horses ethical. Something like that. Ethical within environmental conservation. Or ethical within something along those lines. I can't spell anything, so you're so play around with that a little bit. But do you see where I'm going with that question? Like, okay, so talking about how, I mean, you could talk about how business, the business mindset of them.
Because then, like, the only reason, like, one of the main reasons that they push wild horses off land is for cattle.
Right.
So it's just only the further
Correct.
economic and agricultural prosperity.
Right. So you could say the corruptness of business is harming the natural state of the way the environment is created. You could talk about how the cattle industry and the like drive the market for it.
So if I'm getting this right,
Yeah.
you can do it at the ethical standpoint, which encompasses the corruption of like business within that within the conservation of the wild horse. And like, could I also put this like freedom within that?
Yeah. So you could say like,
because it is an ethical.
right, as your stance essentially from that question, you would get wild horses should be a part of the wild conservation because they've something, like the failing of,
Well, that's where they like originated, I guess, in the US. Like they technically didn't, they were brought over at some point in time, but like.
I'm going back to this one. Sustainably is important. It's like,
yeah,
it's important to not have wild horses rounded up. So then how can we get to this, Like, the conservation of wild horses is important.
The conservation of wild horses. This is just me rambling.
Yeah.
Proves the failure of ethical something.
Yeah. It's almost like it's almost like the American dream. It's like the whole like it
preserves
freedom, something,
the imagery. I'm just write that down.
Yeah. The American spirit almost,
yes,
yes,
that is
yeah. It's like
important. And then then it's within ethical, like, but I don't want to say that because then that's just like
right. Yes, but you can talk about all of that because it proves this.
So I don't have to even say more than that.
No, because it's like the unethicalness of the businesses is like destroying this natural habitat, which needs to be conserved. I think what you have to figure out is what are the pros to having, like, why is it more beneficial to have wild horses rather than not? Like, why is it more beneficial to keep them there instead of, besides just like they look good
and like corruptness and stuff, because like even though that is true, it's not like factual, like
it's hard to prove because they don't have a whole lot about it. So I see what you're saying.
I know that they do, like they eat like scrub, which is good because when you put the cattle there, they're not eating scrub, which because scrub
Right.
it does nothing for them.
Right.
So the horses technically keep the brush under control, which is another thing because if you keep the brush under control, the risk of large fires
Yeah,
decreases
that's awesome.
substantially. Okay.
For sure. So it's almost like you're arguing for the protection of wild horses.
Yeah. Wow. Just gotta write that the rest of that.
Yeah. So then figuring out how to, and this would technically be right now, corrupt businesses, the cattle industry are infringing upon the safety of wild horses. It's important for these policies to change because,
Yeah.
right? Are you
Yeah.
tracking?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like this is all falls to the wayside, I guess that's the word. I don't
Yeah.
remember. Because it was like big in like the 2000s to 2010.
Right.
But after that, it was kind of just. Like,
It didn't happen a lot. Mm.
Because then you like started to global warming, more political standpoints of just
Yeah.
a lot of
Other things.
And then you had like 2 elections, and like
Right.
there was a lot that happened that kind of just made that argument just
Take it stands.
and then it like the corruptness just kind of continued. Done.
Okay, that makes sense. So finding some kind of bringing this argument back into the modern, like why this is important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of wondering because like
Yeah.
some of this isn't just here are the whole facts of why this is better.
That's
So
fine.
okay. I was wondering because it's more of like an ethical, moral responsibility, but I didn't know if that was like a okay thing to approve as long as you had a component that.
Yep, that's fine. I think you just need evidence to back up or find what other people are saying about it too and like their stances and use those to help your own.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
I like that topic. That's cool.
Thank you.
Oh, I can play it right now. Can't believe that.
The question is though, do we play the way the veg tails going on? Do we play the same? Oh, yeah, heard that one? You're missing out.
This is the one my siblings will listen to all the time.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help.
Grammarly.
This sentence is grammatically correct.
Ah! What's wrong? I just found something. What? This.
It's a belly button.
I don't remember being shot or anything. Call Flula.
Over here.
Everybody's got one. Everybody. I can't believe we live to be this old.
Do you know this song? I'm a little disappointed no one knows.
A little dent with a little bit of lint inside it. Underneath this cotton tee, you've been hiding. It's time that we unwrap this gift.
I know.
Let's